Friends, we have a new trending makeup product that every brand seems to be trying to rush to put out their version of, and that is the foundation stick. Now, twist-up cream foundations are nothing new. In fact, over the years, there have been a few that I've loved and used regularly, but I've definitely been noticing an uptick in drugstore foundation sticks being released in 2025, and I got an amazing comment from one of you recommending that I test and compare the newest and most popular releases from Maybelline, Milani, Essence, and Colourpop. And y'all know I love a good wear test comparison video, and with so many brands putting out their version of the same product, I wanna see which one of these checks the most boxes for me and help you determine the same for yourself. So let's get into it, but first, if you're new here, hi, my name is Miranda. I've been creating beauty content on YouTube since 2012, but I'm so glad you found me today. Let's get into our first wear test. Today, I'm gonna be testing out the brand new Essence foundation stick. This is only $6.99. It is the cheapest foundation stick I will be testing in this video, but holy cow, does it have the best shade range with 43 shades. Not only was I impressed with how many shades they released for this product, from super fair to rich deep, but also the undertones. There are shades in rosy, peachy, neutral, and yellow undertones. Now, the brand did actually send me all 43 shades so I could pick my perfect match, but I do want to give them kudos because they also included a prepaid label to the I Support the Girls Foundation. I already regularly donate my unused makeup to local Vegas organizations, but I thought that this was very thoughtful of the brand. I swatched a few shades ahead of time. I think 120 is going to work best for me. Now, to prep my face, I used the La Roche-Posay Double Repair Matte Moisturizer. I find that this works the best under cream foundations and stick foundations that I've been trying recently. It moisturizes my skin really well while offering a little bit of oil control, so I definitely recommend this if you have combo skin, oily skin, or even just a little bit of shininess in your T-zone. This foundation is supposed to have a creamy, blendable formula with a soft, natural matte finish. It's oil-free, cruelty-free, and vegan, and the brand specifically says this is perfect for light, effortless looks, but there are no actual claims in terms of wear time or coverage. Let's give it a shot. Ooh. Okay, it's definitely creamy. It just glides on the skin with no tugging. Now, I am going to blend this out with a brush, which is what the brand instructions recommend. This is the Sephora 70 brush. This is so great for cream foundations. It's blending out pretty nicely. I'm seeing like medium coverage to start. Like, y'all saw that I had some hyperpigmentation in this area, a few healing blemishes, and this is a really good wash of coverage that I feel like would be totally acceptable for me for just like light plans, like if I'm not really going for full coverage, which rarely I am anymore. But I do want to see how buildable this is. Now, in terms of blurring, I am seeing it minimize the pores on either side of my nose. It is accentuating just a little bit of texture around my nostril, but other than that, it is looking pretty natural on the skin. Now, I am seeing a lot of radiance right now, so we'll see how it dries down. I'm gonna see how well this builds up, spot covering some of my darker blemishes that are poking through. Although I am trying to take it at face value that the brand themselves said that this is for like lighter looks. And I am putting a little bit under my eyes as well. Usually when I'm using foundation sticks, I'm trying to, you know, take advantage of the convenience of them, and I'll just use them everywhere. I'm not adding like more concealer to brighten my under eyes. It's definitely kind of a swipe and go experience for me. Okay, the coverage builds up a little bit, but I would say it's medium at most. Now, is this fragranced? There is aroma flavor listed in the ingredients. So there is a fragrance to it. It's a little more than halfway down on the ingredients list. I can smell it. It's dissipating as I'm wearing it on my face. It's more like when I first opened the tube. That's a shame because, like, why? I really don't care for my foundation to have fragrance to it. It's kind of like florally a little bit. Yeah. Okay, here's the before and after coverage wise. Pretty happy with this. This is definitely something I would reach for more like everyday looks. But let me do the rest of my makeup. I finished the rest of my makeup. I kept things pretty light in terms of the rest of my complexion products. I just used the Versed bronzer stick and blush stick. Now, despite having used the matte moisturizer as kind of my priming product, I am still seeing quite a bit of shine in my T-zone, which is obviously my oily zone as a combo skin girly. Just to test this thoroughly, I am going to powder half of my face. With cream foundations, like sometimes they work well when powdered, sometimes it gets a little cakey. I'm using my About Face Curtain Call powder, taking a really, really thin layer, and I'm just going to go in on the right side of my face and mostly focusing on that T-zone area. I'm not gonna really bring it over the cheeks. Oh yeah, immediately I'm not liking how that interacted with the powder around my nose actually, but that's okay. That's why we are doing tests for science. It's okay, I'll reblend that once I spray. Setting it with the Milani Make It Last setting spray. I'm just gonna pat where I saw that texture look funky. Yeah, it's mostly the dryness that I have around my nose that immediately looked bizarre. That about did it. All right, here's the starting point with this Essence foundation stick, and here's the current time. I'll check in with you later. All right, friends, it has been about 12 hours now, maybe a little bit over. It is almost 8:40 p.m. and I gotta say, I am very impressed with this being a foundation stick under $10. If you remember, both sides got setting spray, but only this side got powder, and both sides still look really good. In fact, I'm really not seeing a huge change in coverage on either side. Like, you know, this really taps out at medium. I couldn't really build it up to be totally full coverage, but at least you don't have to worry that you're going to lose coverage throughout the day. I do feel that I look just a tiny bit shiny in my T-zone, even on the side that I powdered. I don't think that this formula is going to be super, super compatible with oily skin, because remember, I did also use that mattifying moisturizer. On my cheeks and the areas that I consider more normal for my combo skin though, looks very much like that soft natural matte that it advertises. It's not dewy and it's not flat matte, it just looks like skin. But if you're already prone to getting shiny, you're gonna get shiny. Now zooming you in to just check out a couple nuances between each side. I'm not sure whether I'm pro or against powdering this formula, because I do feel like on the side that I powdered, there's a little bit more texture accentuated, and I mean like very, very subtle. I am up in my face with a mirror trying to look for the differences. So this is not something that like a normal person at a normal distance would notice. This is just what I'm seeing. And I did see a little bit of texture around my nose like immediately when I powdered earlier. However, on the side that I powdered, there is zero product bunching in my smile line. And that is the hardest spot for me to keep foundation out of. On the side that I did not powder, it's like minuscule. It is still very much impressive to me and better than a lot of other foundations that I use. You can see that tiny, tiny bit. If you have combo skin, I think I would recommend trying just setting with setting spray first. And this is not a mattifying spray either. This is the original Make It Last formula, which has a natural finish. If you don't have to powder, I would say don't powder. We're starting out strong, but there are more foundation sticks to test. The next new drugstore foundation stick I'm putting to the test is the Colourpop Pretty Fresh Tinted Foundation Balm. This is $14, vegan and cruelty-free. The brand calls it hydrating, smoothing, and buildable from light to medium coverage. They describe it as a natural finish, and it's available in 18 shades. I picked up the shade Light 6. I'm pretty sure 7 would have been a better match for me, but I could not find 7 carried anywhere near me. So going into it knowing that it's probably going to be a little light for my summer complexion. Now, just a reminder, with all of the foundation sticks I'm testing in this video, I'm using the La Roche-Posay Double Repair Matte Moisturizer underneath. And the brand does instruct to apply this directly to the skin and then blend out with a brush or the fingers. Okay, first impression, very creamy. We might be able to make this shade work with a little bit of bronzing help. Now this formula has hyaluronic acid, nourishing peptides, and smoothing niacinamide, all things that my skin loves. Yeah, this is definitely the right undertone, like it's nice and neutral. I've just gotten some sun this season already. It's blending out really nicely. I feel like even just this one layer, like if I just had kind of casual plans and I wasn't going for full coverage, this would be totally fine for me. I feel like that's pretty medium. I mean, obviously I have a really deep hyperpigmentation right here that's from a healing acne, some of my darker spots here, but definitely evened things out. On my nostrils, pores are blurred. On the tops of my cheeks, I mean, I can still make them out. It's not like, you know, a full coverage smoothing foundation, but definitely less texture. I'm gonna try to go right over the spots where I feel like I just would love a little extra coverage. And I'm gonna pat to try to maintain as much coverage as possible. Okay. It's definitely maxing out at the high end of medium coverage. But again, this is plenty coverage, in my opinion, for everyday wear, what I look for in an everyday foundation. I want to say there is a little bit more coverage here than there was with the Essence Stick though. Let me know if we're on the same page about that. All right, here is a quick before and after so you can see the coverage I was able to achieve. But I am going to finish my face with today's makeup look. I'll be right back. Here's the rest of today's look complete. I used my subtle stack for nearly every other step of my routine today. I think with the bronzer and blush added, the shade difference isn't so stark. Now, once again, I will be setting half of my face with powder to see how it performs. Just to keep things easy, I will do it on the same side as last time. Mostly sticking to that T-zone. Definitely takes away some of that shine you can see on the forehead, but the finish is very natural. It doesn't look too heavy. Even on the unpowdered side, it's not too dewy. I can just tell like we're starting out with a level of shine that with my combo skin is going to only increase throughout the day. It seems to be doing well being set with powder. It's not turning cakey. It's not looking extra textured. Gonna seal in both sides with the same Milani setting spray. And so far this feels good on the skin. It feels lightweight, it feels flexible. So let's see how it does throughout the day. Here's the current time. I will see you later. All right, y'all, I have reached the end of my day and I'm just gonna be so honest. It's gonna be pretty difficult to rank these foundation sticks if this is just how it's gonna go. First of all, here is the current time. I think we're at like 11-ish hours. This is another foundation stick formula that's gonna be a little tricky for those with oily skin or oily combo skin. It's gonna take some finessing because I feel like I'm seeing a bigger difference today versus the Essence foundation stick between the side that I powdered and the side that I did not. The side that I powdered, there is some radiance coming through, but overall, it's still looking very smooth and even and blurred. And even on my actual nostril, there is no foundation separating. On the side that I didn't powder, I'm not necessarily seeing separation, but the blurring effect has definitely lessened. I'm seeing a lot more of my pores coming through and just a lot more shine, especially on the nostril. Whoa, big difference. I think you can see a bit of a difference on the forehead as well. I'm getting more shine over here, although there is some dew coming through on the powdered side as well. And that's why I say that it's gonna take some finessing if you have oily skin, because you're gonna need to find that priming and setting combo that works for you and that will kind of keep it at a level that you're comfortable with. But I will say the coverage on both sides looks very, very similar. I'm only seeing the most minuscule difference around my raised blemishes. They are only subtly more covered on the side that I powdered versus the side that I did not. But like I said, overall, the foundation still looks very even. It still looks great under my blush. Everything is blended out nicely still. Also keep in mind, now it's nearly 8 p.m. and it just dipped below 100. Like, it's been hot today. I have been sweating and it still looks this good. Now, does it look doubly good versus the Essence stick, which is half the price? I want to know your thoughts in the comments. But there are still 2 foundation sticks to try before I rank these, so let's move on. So many of you asked me to try out and review this next foundation stick, so I'm really excited to finally give it a try. This is the Maybelline Lifter Stix. This costs anywhere between $10 and $13 depending on where you get it, and it's available in 18 shades. Now, the brand doesn't necessarily call this a foundation stick because they advertise it as both a coverage product as well as a sculpting product if you want to buy a contour shade or a highlight shade for yourself. Now, this is definitely something you can do with literally any foundation stick, but Maybelline just took the extra step in working that into their marketing. Now, this formula is non-comedogenic, which means it does not clog pores. It's a little bit friendlier for acne-prone skin, but the only claims for this product is that it's multi-use, it's smooth and creamy, and it blends easily. They don't really give any information about coverage or wear time. Now, I'm trying to figure out, I can kind of see through the packaging, is that all you're getting? Is that the entire stick? That can't be. Hold on, we need to investigate. That's the entire stick? Let me compare it to the Essence one, because that's kind of nuts. I mean, I know foundation sticks don't always have like the full stick length in them, but I mean, this is crazy. Okay, hold on, because that's definitely gonna play a part in my ranking. Okay, here's Colourpop. Although Colourpop's is a bit skinnier. 8.2 grams versus 6 grams. So a gram is a gram, but this is still not a lot. I'll do a price per gram comparison at the end of the video. I'm using the shade 20. This was a complete guess when buying this online. Almost forgot to prep my face with my matte moisturizer. Let's hope that this shade isn't too dark. I don't know why, like, in the stick it looked too dark, but I'm also completely unaware of how much sun I've gotten this summer already. This feels like it's kind of tugging a little bit more than the other foundation sticks. Like it's a bit thicker of a formula maybe, or just not as creamy. Okay, it's blending out really nicely. And this is the Sigma Flat Kabuki F80. I do have a Sigma discount code. This is such a good multi-use product. You can use it on cream foundations. You can use it on powder foundations. I also use it to blend cream bronzer. Interesting. For a product that didn't make any claims about coverage, I'm pretty dang impressed with the coverage. I'm seeing blurring action. I'm seeing coverage. I'm seeing smoothing. I really like this finish. And it's just interesting to me that Maybelline didn't like touch on that for their marketing. Is it to get this reaction? To have it kind of like exceed expectations? I'm gonna add just a little bit more on my nose because I didn't quite get my nostrils. I'm not saying that this feels heavy, but it does feel a little bit more like a traditional foundation product, but I really like how it looks. And it's definitely starting out a little bit more soft matte than the other two started on me, despite them both saying that they were supposed to give like a natural finish. They started out with a level of glow where I knew I was gonna get shinier throughout the day. With this, especially paired with the matte moisturizer, I actually feel like this is a natural matte finish. This is what I have in mind when a product says it has a natural matte finish. Like, it's not dull and flat, but it's certainly not glowy. So right off the bat, this is feeling a little bit more compatible with both my preferences and my skin type. Okay, but here is the before and after coverage wise, and I really didn't need to build this up as much as I did with the other sticks. All right, I finished the rest of my makeup. I'm keeping it pretty light today, but I still did bronzer and blush using the Versed sticks, same thing that I used 2 days ago with the Essence. And just like we've been doing, gonna go ahead and powder one side of my face. Though I really don't feel like this particular product needs it as much as the other ones did at the beginning of the day. But for science. Plus I am bound to get sweaty because this entire week it's been hitting over 100 degrees. It's Tuesday today. Tomorrow it's gonna be 100 again, and then it's gonna start to cool down. Wow, Friday it's gonna be 88. What a treat. Yeah, honestly, I kind of like how it looks unpowdered. I just think because this one started out a little bit more matte, I don't like it fully mattified with the powder. I feel like with this one, you can really see a clear line between the unpowdered side and the powdered side. Well, here is our starting point for today, and here is the current time. I will check back in with you later. All right, y'all, it is 8:18 p.m., so I think we hit 12 hours wearing this Maybelline Lifter Stix, and I'm on the fence about it. I've got mixed feelings because there's still a lot of coverage left over at this point in the day, and I'll show the before and after here, but I feel like it's settled on my skin in a funky way in certain areas, and definitely focusing around the T-zone, particularly my mouth. But first, let me kind of show the positives here. Like I said, both sides still have a lot of coverage. I did get a little shiny on the unpowdered side, and I think you can really tell the difference between the cheek area on either side of my nose. I think we're getting like so much more shine right here versus right here, but it's not as dewy as the two previous foundation sticks in my opinion. This is looking dewy, not shiny to me, whereas the other two looked shiny at the end of the day. Also, I'm not seeing a ton of creasing in my expression lines, either on my forehead or my laugh lines. Really not seeing much of anything on my forehead, actually. On my laugh lines, I'm seeing a tiny bit, tiny bit of creasing. On the unpowdered side, a lot less on the powdered side, but either way, it definitely impressed me in that regard. However, seeing some wear along the top of my nose, I can just like see my freckles and this red spot. I don't really know if I have much product left on the top of my nose. On the unpowdered side, I do see a bit of separation on the nostril. Yeah, like I feel like you can see a stripe of product that's like right here, and then around it, there's not that much product left. On the powdered side, I am seeing some separation right in the crease of my nostril, but overall maybe a little bit more product left behind. What's really bothering me is how the product looks around my mouth. Can you see that there's like a ring almost of splotchiness around my lips? I don't know, it just looks really weird to me, like patchy. And also right here where I have texture, I think it looks patchy, and I don't know, it like started out so smooth and now it looks crackly and icky. And this is the powdered side, although I didn't really bring the powder too far like this way. I really kind of kept it right here. But I feel like I'm getting the same thing on the unpowdered side. Like it is just not sitting on my skin in a flattering way anymore. So I don't know if that's a skin compatibility thing, because there's still a lot of good things about this foundation that I'm noticing 12 hours in. And I try to look in these areas right here, kind of at the perimeter of my face when I'm judging foundation, because that's like my most normal area. And I think that maybe if you have more normal skin, without texture, without dry spots or oily spots, like, I don't know, if you're a unicorn, and this could work really well, because in these areas, like along my jaw and the cheeks, and even like under my bronzer and blush, it still looks good. It really does look much better in some areas than others on my face. And as a combo skin girly, that is just the plight. That is how it is. There's one more foundation stick to test. It is actually one that I have tried before and fell in love with, but I am curious to see how it stacks up when compared to these three. See you in the morning. Before we move on to the next wear test, if you're enjoying this video and you haven't already, I would really appreciate it if you considered subscribing and turning on the bell notifications. But if you're already part of the Slashed Squad, hey, nice to see you again. Hitting thumbs up on this video helps YouTube show it to more people. The last new drugstore foundation stick I'll be testing in this video is the Milani Conceal and Perfect Blur Out Skin Tint Stick. Now, I did do a full review and wear test of this back in February, and since then it has become a go-to grab for me. I've traveled with it like 3 times already. This is the most expensive stick that I'll be testing in this video. This is about $16 to $17. There are 25 shades in this line, and light medium 7 neutral has been one of the most perfect shade matches I've ever found in a foundation, although now that it's summer, it might be a little light. It was perfect in February. This is a vegan and cruelty-free, nourishing foundation formula. It has moisturizing muru butter, antioxidant vitamin E, as well as vitamin C rich guava fruit extract. Milani has definitely been releasing a lot of makeup that has skincare benefits lately. And with this product, they claim light to medium coverage, like they call it a skin tint stick. I feel like I've always been able to get up to medium full if I really build it up. This is a very creamy, very glidey formula, and it feels lightweight on the skin. Today I'm using the Real Techniques Expert Face Brush, a classic foundation brush at the drugstore. See, one layer already covers so much. I mean, these darkest spots I'm gonna hit with a little bit more, but I've probably been grabbing this the most. This and like my Maybelline Skin Tint have been my most used. Now this is definitely a more radiant formula, especially because it is, you know, meant to be moisturizing. I did prep with my matte moisturizer, which helps kind of temper that glow a little bit, but already we are kind of in dewy territory. What I love about this formula, and I can already say it does this a little bit better than the other 3, is the blurring. The blurring is actually so impressive. It almost looks like I've powdered without powdering it. This is just the area where my pores are most visible, and they look airbrushed. Okay, just going in a little bit over these darker spots. I really don't need to build up too much, but do you agree with me that like this is definitely starting out at more medium coverage? But with that said, at least it feels really lightweight on the skin. It feels very flexible. I'm also happy to report that I've had this open and I've been using it consistently since February, and it has not dried out yet. It is just as creamy and glidey as it was when I first opened it. All right, here's our coverage before and after, and I don't even really feel like this is necessarily 2 layers of product. It was really just 1 even layer and then adding a tiny bit more over my blemishes. All right, now that the rest of my makeup is done, let's set our powdered powdered side. Now I will say that I actually really like how this foundation looks over the matte moisturizer but left unpowdered, because I think one of the draws of this foundation is its radiance, and you're getting that radiant dewy look but still with the blurring, because a lot of times those of us with skin texture or very visible pores, those things get accentuated by radiance, but this foundation definitely gives you best of both worlds. So usually when I wear this foundation, I do leave it unpowdered because that's part of why I'm wearing it. But again, for science. I also think that it does tend to look a little heavy once it's powdered. I just realized that I did not do my brows. Let me do that really quickly. There we go. Okay, let's set this with my Milani setting spray. Okay, I'm really trying not to be biased and I wanna go into this with an open mind, but this is a foundation that I already know I love. And I think I am liking the starting point a little bit better than the other 3 foundation sticks, but again, I'm gonna try to stay open-minded. I will say the powdered side is bringing even more blur. Like I mentioned, I usually don't powder this foundation, but I might start. Especially when I am going for a little bit more of a full face vibe. But here's our starting point. Here is the time. I'll see you later. All right, y'all, it's the end of my day. I really wanna wash my face and get into pajamas. Here's the current time. Did we hit like 11 hours today? And the Milani stick performed pretty much how I expected it to perform. The coverage on both sides is pretty much fully intact. I'm seeing maybe the slightest bit of fading around my most raised blemishes, but other than that, things are looking even, things are looking smooth. Now I do want to kind of touch on something I said earlier this morning about how I usually wear this without powder. Now that it's summer and we're, hitting the triple digits here in Vegas, I think it looks better with powder at the end of the day. You can definitely see a huge difference between both sides. I am definitely teetering on the edge, in my opinion, of greasy on the unpowdered side, but the powdered side, like, perfect. It just looks like a natural radiant skin finish, and my pores are still beautifully blurred. The only place that I feel like I lost coverage was my nose. I'm just seeing a tiny bit of missing product just right in that nostril crease. On the powdered side though, everything is still looking very much intact. I was a little nervous that, seeing how all of these foundation sticks perform side by side, that maybe my favorite would be like knocked from its pedestal. It wasn't. It just still looks so good, and on either side, I am not getting any creasing or settling into my expression lines, either on my forehead or in my laugh lines. Like, look how smooth this looks. And even in the spots where that oil is coming through and I am getting shinier, there's no foundation separation. All right, so after all that, if you are still on the fence about which foundation stick to choose, let me break it down for you. Now, first, I did say earlier that I would do a price per gram comparison, so let's get into that. That way we can get an idea of value. So working backwards, the Milani stick has 8.1 grams of product. So at $16.99, that's about $2.09 per gram. Next, the Maybelline Lifter Stix, which this is what prompted me wanting to do this comparison, just because visually the amount of product in this is very small. This has 6 grams at $10 or $9.99, so that is about $1.60 per gram. Now the Colourpop Pretty Fresh Tinted Foundation Balm has 8.2 grams of product for $14, so that comes out to $1.70 per gram. And finally, I was actually really surprised to find out that the Essence Foundation Stick has 10 grams of product, so for $6.99, that comes out to 69 cents per gram. That is crazy to me. So not only is the Essence stick the cheapest in terms of the price tag, but it is also the best value in terms of how much product you're getting. But personally, despite being the most expensive, my favorite is still the Milani Blur Out Skin Tint Stick. I really think that the price reflects the quality you're getting with this product. It does have the highest buildable coverage out of these 4 foundation sticks, which makes it a lot more versatile for me because I can keep it light if I want to, but building it up, I can support a more full face makeup look. I also think this formula does best across skin types because with dry skin, you're gonna love how hydrating it feels and the glow that it gives you, but it's also the easiest to make work for oily or combo skin like I have with the right prep and set steps. You can keep it from getting overly shiny with setting powder, and oil and sweat don't break down the foundation. Now the next best choice is really going to depend on your skin type, but for me, the Colourpop Pretty Fresh Tinted Foundation Balm comes in second. This just had a little less coverage than the Milani Milani stick, and it did get shinier throughout the day, even under powder. But I was still able to achieve even medium coverage that lasted really well throughout the day and stayed looking smooth. Plus, again, oil and sweat didn't separate the makeup even on the side where I hadn't powdered. But the thing is for $2 to $3 more, I would still prefer the Milani stick. Now, the Essence stick is obviously a great value. However, it also had the least amount of coverage out of this lineup. If you don't have dark spots or blemishes that you're dying to cover, then good for you. And this might be just enough coverage for you. It's definitely light medium, but you're not gonna get into the medium full territory with this. It also has the most impressive shade range that I've ever seen from a drugstore foundation stick. However, I wasn't really a big fan of how it looked powdered. So this one I really don't think is going to be the pick if you have oily skin, because those products that we use to control oil throughout the day, I felt really messed with the finish. If you have normal skin and not too much you're trying to cover up though, this is a steal. Now, as far as this Maybelline Lifter Stix, I still have really weird mixed feelings about it, which is why I'm ranking it last, because it definitely has its positives, but looking at the all day before and after, I felt that the results were the most disappointing. Like, it maintained a lot of its coverage, but at what cost? It looked patchy on me at the end of the day, and that could be a combo skin thing. It also did just slightly crease in my expression lines. So I think this could work if you have normal untextured skin, but I also think that any of the other three would be a better option. With all that said, I wanna know your thoughts on these drugstore foundation sticks. Which have you tried, and do you have a favorite? Let me know in the comments. Thanks so much for making it to the end. If you wanna keep watching, join me over in this video next where I test out your favorite drugstore eyeliner pencils against my holy grail to see if yours are better. I'll see you over there. Bye.